Hey everyone, welcome to Clarity Over Chaos, a space for truth, clarity, and transformation. For this season, I wanted to start somewhere personal. Before we talk about the world, before we talk about energy shifts, spirituality, relationships, or anything happening around us, I think we have to start with ourselves because there comes a point where loving yourself has to become more than something you say. It has to become something you practice. It has to show up in the way you speak to yourself, the way you protect your peace, the way you stop shrinking, the way you stop changing pieces of yourself just to make other people more comfortable, and the way you finally decide that being authentically yourself is more important than being accepted by everybody. A lot of us spend years learning how to fit into rooms that were never designed for us. We become quieter, we become easier to handle, we soften our opinions, we hide our gifts. We make ourselves smaller because we can feel when our confidence makes somebody uncomfortable. And sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. We call it being considerate, we call it keeping the peace, we call it being humble. But sometimes what we're really doing is abandoning ourselves. And I want to say something that I think a lot of people need to hear. You don't have to dim your light so somebody else can feel brighter. You don't have to pretend you don't know who you are. You don't have to apologize for your growth. You don't have to make yourself less powerful, less expressive, less joyful, less spiritual, less creative, or less alive just because somebody else hasn't figured out themselves yet. The brightest light in the room doesn't have to compete with anybody. It just shines. And real light doesn't walk into the room asking permission to exist. I think that is what authentic self-love begins to look like. Not arrogance, not thinking you're better than anybody, not believing you're perfect. Self-love is being able to look at yourself honestly and still choose yourself. It's knowing where you need healing without turning your wounds into an identity. It's taking responsibility for your mistakes without living in shame. It's knowing your flaws and still understanding your value. And that kind of self-love changes everything. Because once you genuinely value yourself, you start becoming more careful about what you allow access to you. Not everybody deserves unlimited access to your mind. Not everybody deserves unlimited access to your emotions. Not everybody deserves unlimited access to your energy. And when I say energy, I don't mean we have to turn every uncomfortable interaction into something mystical. Sometimes negative energy is simply negativity. It's constant criticism, it's chaos, it's manipulation. It's somebody always needing a crisis. It's being around people who make everything feel heavier. It's conversations that leave you questioning yourself every single time. It's people who don't celebrate your growth because your growth reminds them that they are standing still. And the mistake a lot of us make is thinking that loving people means carrying all of that. It doesn't. You can love somebody and still have boundaries. You can care about somebody and still say no. You can understand where somebody's behavior comes from without volunteering to be damaged by it. Compassion does not require self-destruction, and being a good person does not mean becoming an emotional dumping ground. Sometimes protecting your light means recognizing what drains it. Pay attention to how you feel around certain people. Do you feel inspired? Do you feel safe enough to be yourself? Do you feel like you can breathe? Or are you constantly monitoring yourself? Are you always explaining yourself? Are you always leaving every interaction exhausted? Are you always trying to prove that your intentions are good? That matters. Your body notices things before your mind wants to admit them. And that doesn't mean everybody who makes you uncomfortable is bad. Sometimes discomfort is growth. Sometimes somebody tells us the truth that we don't want to hear. So discernment matters. The goal isn't to remove everyone who challenges us. The goal is to understand the difference between a person who challenges our growth and a person who constantly attacks our worth. Those are not the same thing. And staying true to yourself requires enough self-awareness to know the difference. Because authenticity isn't just doing whatever you feel like doing. Authenticity also requires accountability. Sometimes being authentically yourself means admitting that an old version of you has expired. Sometimes it means changing your mind. Sometimes it means apologizing. Sometimes it means leaving a relationship. Sometimes it means rebuilding your entire life. Sometimes it means saying this person I've been pretending to be isn't who I am anymore. And there can be grief in that, a lot of grief. Because when you change, not everybody is going to understand you or go with you. Some people only know the version of you that benefited them. Some people liked you better when you didn't have boundaries. Some people liked you better when you doubted yourself. Some people felt more comfortable around you when you were still looking for their approval. And once you stop doing that, the relationship may change. That doesn't automatically mean you've done something wrong. Growth changes relationships. Healing changes relationships. Self-respect changes relationships. And sometimes losing access to certain people is part of gaining access to yourself. The real question becomes, who am I when nobody is clapping? Who am I when somebody misunderstands me? Who am I when I walk into a room where nobody validates me? Do I still know who I am? That is the work. Because if your identity depends on somebody else's reaction to you, then they are holding too much power. And no matter how spiritual we become, no matter how enlightened we think we are, we still have to learn how to stop handing our power away. Your attention is power, your time is power, your emotional energy is power, your creativity is power, your voice is power. And where you consistently place those things shapes your life. So protect them, not from a place of fear, from a place of value. There is a big difference. Fear says everybody is trying to take something from me. Self-respect says I decide what deserves access to me. That's the energy I want to bring into this season. Less performing, less shrinking, less trying to convince people, and more truth, alignment, and self-awareness. More courage to be exactly who we are while still remaining open enough to grow. Because your light isn't just your happiness. Your light is your truth, creativity, compassion, ability to love, intuition, and your resilience. The part of you that survived things nobody else fully understands. The part of you that still hopes. The part of you that keeps rebuilding. And that light deserves protection. So when you walk into a room, don't ask whether you're too much. Don't immediately scan the room trying to figure out how you need to change. Walk in knowing that you belong to yourself. And when negativity appears, don't automatically absorb it. Observe it, discern it, and decide whether it deserves your attention. And remember, not everything deserves a reaction either. Not everybody deserves an explanation. And not every opinion deserves a seat at your table. Sometimes protecting your peace means allowing people to misunderstand you and continuing to forward on anyway. So this week, I want you to ask yourself, where have you been dimming yourself? Where have you been abandoning parts of yourself just to maintain connection? Where are you allowing yourself to constantly be drained by others? And what would you change if you started treating your own energy like something valuable? I'm not saying to become cold or selfish. I'm not saying you have to stop loving people. Just stop disappearing inside of your love for them. Stay soft where softness is deserved. Stay strong where strength is required. Stay teachable, humble, honest, but above everything else, stay true to yourself. Always be the brightest light in the room, not because you need everybody to notice you, but because you finally stopped being afraid of your own light. Love y'all. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time.